Michael, it's great to have you here in Berlin at Super Return International. There's up to 4,000 investment professionals here that you can talk to, and you really want to say to them, you need to be looking at Alaska.
Exactly. No, it's incredible. I mean, there's just investors from all over the world here. And we had heard about Super Return. It's exceeded our expectations. We've talked to a number of folks regarding Alaska, the opportunities in Alaska, everything from oil, gas, mining, carbon, trees, you name it. Alaska's got it all. And so we made some great contacts, and we're probably going to get some investment on this.
What do you feel you're finding when you talk to people about what surprises them most about what the opportunities are in Alaska?
So a lot of people know Alaska is a place to visit for tourism, beautiful place, lots of animals, etc. But what they didn't realize is that we're much more than just oil too. We're an oil state, obviously, but with our proximity to Asia, our proximity to Europe, our incredible number of resources beyond oil and gas. As mentioned, there's fishing, there's critical minerals. We have 43 million acres of trees under the state of Alaska. Tidal resources, geothermal resources. We have 130 volcanoes, many of which are active. So all of this coming together, including our international airport at Anchorage, which is the 4th busiest air cargo airport in the world because of where we're located, has got a lot of investors thinking in their own head, how do we scale things up? How do we look at a whole number of different investments there that may complement each other? So it's pretty exciting to be here.
With that all in mind, it's quite extraordinary to think that Alaska hasn't been somewhere that's been on the radar so much before. Why do you think that is? And
because I think it's a combination of things. Alaska's relied on its oil production for decades and decades, probably at the expense of other aspects of the economy that could have invited some investment in. And so we've turned that around on our administration. And I think now, especially with the IRA Act, the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed by Congress, the opportunities now are just overwhelming, I think, for folks. And so Alaska's getting a second look, which is a good thing for us.
And you mentioned the airport, and
yes.
the geography of Alaska is quite unusual and exceptional in lots of ways, isn't it?
Yes.
Where you are, the
Yeah.
location.
Yeah, a lot of people think, you go from New York to London to Frankfurt. In Alaska, we go up over the top. A direct flight about 9 hours from Anchorage, Alaska to Frankfurt. We're also about 9 hours to Tokyo. Our closest neighbor is Canada. Our next closest neighbor is only 2.5 miles away, that's Russia. So we're really an Arctic, North Pacific sovereign, very different than the rest of the United States.
So when you are having these conversations here this week, what's the key thing that you're finding really gets traction for you with these investors?
Well, our legislature just passed a huge carbon bill that now enables us to have discussions with international investors about our carbon possibilities. 43 million acres of trees, millions of acres of peat and bogland. The state of Alaska owns 3 miles off of our coastline, and our coastline is larger than the rest of the United States put together. So all of these opportunities, and our depleted oil bases that could sequester up to 50 gigatons of carbon in some cases, in total in Alaska up to 200 gigatons of carbon. So the carbon sequestration and offset potential is enormous. This, coupled with our gas line project that we're looking at and putting together for our Asian allies, especially the Japanese and the Koreans, have got people really thinking this may be a place to park some investment.
This is the carbon monetization program that you've recently introduced the legislation for.
Yeah, we just passed that about a month ago at a vote of 58 to 2. And what that does is enable us to have discussions with investors worldwide on what type of approach to carbon would work best for Alaska. And it may be multiple approaches, but that's kind of garnered a lot of the discussion that we're having over here, because Alaska can help tremendously offset carbon, sequester carbon for a whole host of industries worldwide.
And obviously sustainability is the top of everybody's agendas at the moment in terms of that. And you've actually had your own sustainability conference recently. Talk to me about that and what expectations there are from investors in terms of the ESG side.
Yeah, so Alaska is very different than the rest of the 49 states. Alaska, there was a precondition to allow Alaska to become part of the Union, the 49th state, and that was we had to collectivize all of our resources under the sovereign, almost like a European sovereign, very different than the rest of the United States. And so under the sovereign, Alaska, the state of Alaska owns the trees, owns the oil, owns the gas, etc. We own the depleted oil basins where it can sequester carbon. We own the water. We own everything, basically. And so the Constitution of Alaska provided for that, as well as saying that we have to manage our resources for sustainability. It's already in our Constitution since 1959. And so all of this works well for a lot of the investors over here. We manage our resources a little differently. We manage our resources for sustainability. It's on a sustained yield principle, et cetera. So there's a lot of things that Alaska already does that a lot of the investors here believe fits into their portfolio well when it comes to the investments that they're looking at.
So I imagine you're having a very busy week.
Yeah.
What do you hope these conversations now really lead to in tangible terms?
Well, we're seeing it because a lot of folks are saying, I didn't know that about Alaska. I didn't know that you were 9 hours away from the rest of the industrialized world. I didn't know you're that close to our Asian allies. I didn't know you had that much gas, those critical minerals. I didn't know your airport was the 4th busiest cargo airport in the world. All of these things coming together have got people literally thinking and asking questions, and we anticipate a number of meetings as follow-up meetings to this conference.
It's a pretty efficient conference to do that
Very
as well
efficient.
in terms of global reach, isn't
Very,
it?
very efficient. Everyone's here. This is the place to be.
And you're here too, and thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Great to talk to you, Michael.
Thank
Thank you.